So I wanted to go through hosting your RPrez presentation or your Slidify presentation on GitHub Pages. Here I have a basic presentation that I've created in RPrez. Let's check and see that there's a couple of pages. Okay, and I have exported it here where I've clicked on Save as a Web Page. Now, I actually like the shell environment on Windows called conemu. It's actually a nice shell environment for using git bash. And I want to initialize my git repository here. So I'll do git init. And let's see, there's my files. And I haven't added them yet. So git add, let's just add everything. It's giving me a warning about line endings. That we'll just live with that. I want to commit these files. Okay, I've committed them. Now I'd like to push them up to a GitHub repository. I've created a new repository on the GitHub site. I called it TestPrez. And GitHub actually shows me the steps for the initial push into this GitHub repository. So I'm going to remote add the origin here. There I'm adding it. And then let's git push to GitHub. Let's check back here and make sure all those files made it. I'll click on it, and there it is. Now I'd like to have this presentation be so that I can actually view the HTML page on GitHub where GitHub is doing the website hosting. So I want to create a branch called GitHub Pages. So git branch checkout there it is. I want to push this branch up to GitHub. And let's check here what branches we have. See, there's now two branches on GitHub. There's master and GitHub Pages. Another thing you need on your GitHub page is a .NoJekyll file. The .NoJekyll file merely tells Git when it's hosting to not do some of the fancy HTML stuff that GitHub Pages allows for and just do straight HTML. On the bash command line, you can just do touch.nojekyll. Then I want to do git add that file, git commit. Always want to add a nice message, so I added a .nojekyll file. Okay, now I want to push that change. Now, the first time it sets up your GitHub Pages page, it may take it a few minutes. The manual says even up to 10 minutes. I would also add that if instead of creating and initializing the repository yourself, if you actually fork, for example, my repository here, which is fine, I've noticed that you actually have to commit at least one change before you can actually view the web content on GitHub Pages. So to view your presentation now, you want to go to your username.github.io, your repo name, in this case TestPrez, and then the presentation HTML file, in this case testprez.html. Then the navigation buttons will work, as well as the arrow keys. If you want to actually give the presentation, you usually want to go full screen. In Chrome, which is what I'm using, it's F11. and this is actually a nice way to give the presentation. Notice there was nothing in particular about rpres for doing this. The exact same procedure would work for a Slidify presentation. And in fact, that's what the publish command does exactly for Slidify. The one concern is that sometimes if you don't have Git in your path, for example on Windows, then publish can't find it correctly and it won't go through the steps correctly. However, you can do it manually. I happen to do it using the console this time, but you could just as easily do it using the GitHub GUI that you can download from their site.